All right, welcome all to Hit or Miss. I am your host, Nate Strake, and I have an interesting panel this evening. So, Smeggy is still MIA. I don't know where Smeggy is. So, but that's okay. We got the de facto co-host Travis P11 here, and we have the old third leg Sean Ponery's here too. So.
The old breed has returned.
Yeah. But, all right, so why don't I introduce my panel? Even though I mentioned two people already, I'm going to go through everyone. So, everyone, if you have anything to plug, go ahead and plug. All right, Dusty, what's going on? It's been forever. Where you been, dude?
Hello. Well, I don't have time to be on this a whole lot, but tonight sounded fun. So, thank you for the invite.
Okay, no problem. And Sean, welcome back. Where you been?
Work, play, saving
Small
money.
Ninja?
Small Ninja, building this. Keep an eye out. This will be on my channel.
You need to do a video of that.
Oh, there is. You can find me, Sean Ponery, on YouTube. And this is basically the ultimate rendition of what you can do to a Mossberg Shockwave. Pretty fun.
That is ridiculous.
Not
awesome.
Very expensive to build either.
I might look at that. All right. And we've got everyone's favorite Squib. What's going on, Squib?
Hey, if I can get to the mute button. Thanks for the invite.
Hey, no problem. And at the last minute, we've got the Crazy Scotsman.
What's up, man? Appreciate the link.
All right. We've got another latecomer. We got Sandhill Shooter. What's going on, John?
Hey, thanks for the link. It's good to be here.
All right. And last but not least, we have our new de facto co-host, since Smeggy has basically left Hit or Miss for greener pastures, I guess. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up at this point. Travis P11, what's going on, dude?
Not much, man. I do appreciate the invite. Let's see. Cheap plugs here. Check me out on GunTube.org. Channel's Travis P11. Check out the Saturday morning podcast, Caliber Corner, 8 a.m. Central Time. The only time zone over there on gunchannels.com. Otherwise, man, I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
All right. So I want to talk about a topic that most of us really cringe at. We've been cringing at for years now, ever since Obama took office, really.
Oh, yeah. We gave him a pet name for him, actually.
Yeah. Everyone knows what the Ninth Circus is, right? It's the Ninth Circuit Court. The court basically polices, well, not police, but it represents the West Coast as well as, I think, Alaska and Hawaii, does it not? I think it's Alaska. I'm not sure.
Most of the West Coast, yes.
Most of the West Coast. Don't quote me on that. I don't know. I'm not an aficionado on the Ninth Circuit. But we're going to talk about the Ninth Circuit tonight because some strange things have been happening out of there. Last week we briefly touched on this. I think we might have. I'm not sure if we did. But, what happened last week is the Ninth Circuit went and upheld an injunction on the magazine capacity ban in California. Okay.
Yeah, they've also really reneged on a lot of their pushy opinions when they've gone to the 3-judge panel. And, yeah, they reneged on the magazine capacity issue.
Yeah. So there's that. And, spoilers, earlier today, I just got a message, email saying that the Ninth Circuit 3-judge panel upholds the right to open carry firearms. Not just carry, to open carry. Yeah. I mean, think of it what you will. I know it's the Ninth Circuit. I understand. But this is actually kind of big if you think about it, because if this is upheld and isn't challenged, it could be used as precedence all over the United States.
Well, essentially, what can happen is if this doesn't get appealed, and this doesn't go to the 9 justice review and it sticks, then what this does is it basically green lights Justice or future Justice Kavanaugh's opinion that the Constitution should be interpreted in its literal definition as written, which means a man like Kavanaugh could literally say, hey, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, which basically means there are no concessions needed. However, a reasonable concession would be, look, I'm going to go to a show or I'm going to go to a store at FFL. I'm going to buy a handgun. I'm going to fill out a 4473. I'm going to submit my information to a background check. If I pass that background check, that's where it stops. It ends right there, meaning welcome to 50-state constitutional carry. Because if you pass the background check to buy it, why do they have to keep digging into your life? You didn't do shit past that, and you passed it to buy it. So why do I have to pay an extra tax for my right? So somebody like Kavanaugh, who I think is a continuation of somebody with the mentality of a Justice Scalia, could literally say that. He could say, look, nowhere in here does it say the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed except if you jump through these hoops and pay these taxes unnecessarily. He knows that that part isn't there. He would just strike that out and say, why don't we just have 50-state constitutional carry? Because that is the literal definition. And he is a man who went in there saying, I follow the law as written. So this is a very positive thing for us. We should encourage him. You know, should he be confirmed, which I don't see why he shouldn't be, if he's confirmed, we should encourage him. We should say, hey, this is a very hot button issue that we're passionate about. Can you look into this, or can you opine on this to a degree where, you know, the other four justices that lean towards your belief system would agree to this? Because then a state could say, well, we don't agree to. No, that's constitutional law. You can't overwrite that. No state law can overwrite that.
No.
No more taxes, no more laws, no more stupid, you know, qualifications or whatever. Teacher carry could be a thing, you know. School shootings would be a thing of the past. Take away the gun-free zone. Take away the all-you-can-shoot buffet for a criminal. I mean, this opens up a lot of possibilities for us. That's a good thing.
Right, right. Travis, what, I heard you cheering in the background, so you want to weigh in on this?
What's sad is that I haven't heard anything in the news about any progress lately for teachers to be able to carry in the classroom. You know, it seems like we had all this hype about it after the shootings took place, and then there's a lot of chatter about it, a lot of arguing about it, and then it's no longer an issue. So there could be
a little
something.
bit of hope.
Yeah,
Well,
this does.
Well, actually, Travis, there is a little bit of hope. There's a channel that I watched, guys up in Texas, and they just literally let their school go ahead and get the training so they can carry on school site.
Oh yeah. There's been schools that have been doing it for years. I mean, like 7 or 8 years now. But it's just, you know, yeah, public schools at that.
Okay.
The last time I actually
wait a minute, Travis.
Yo.
Okay, I know you're a school teacher, right?
Yeah.
And you're also a gun guy. But what is the rest of the teachers' theories in your school? I know my family is a family of school teachers, and my sister and the rest of my family want nothing to do with it.
You got to realize I live in a rural area. A lot of kids grow up hunting, taking, you know, we've got 4-H, agriculture, outdoor life, shooting programs. I mean, it's not, it's a different kind of attitude. In fact, after we had Sandy or with the Florida shootings, I was talking to the superintendent. He's like, you know, what do we do? What should we do? He's talking to me. And there were 5 or 6 other teachers that were there at their teacher conferences saying, let's get some training. Let's get us to change the state law so we can carry. There were 6 teachers that said they'd be willing to go through the training. You know, we got former military that teach in our school. We've got guys that are gun guys. I mean, hunters, you know, guys that shoot on a regular basis.
Well,
so it's a different attitude out here in central Nebraska than what you get on the coast, all right?
Right.
Or big cities.
And the sad situation of it is my sister teaches in a district just outside of Orlando, Florida.
Yeah.
So different attitude there. And most of the teachers, she said, in her building wanted to fight that.
Let me give you all a little bit of hope. The last time I was in a panel like this and I talked about Texas legislation and ideology, I was very ill prepared. I mean, as far as I knew at the time back then, I knew of 7 school districts in the entire state of Texas that allowed teacher carry, and boy, was I wrong. Apparently, in the state of Texas, there are 174 school districts that allow teacher carry already. That is good news. The fact of the matter is pretty simple. I proposed legislation to Governor Greg Abbott, and somehow it got to the right people, because now I'm on a mailing list of his cabinet. I get messages from people of his cabinet every day now, and I'm tickled pink, honestly. You know, I send my thoughts. I don't expect it to become law or anything, because I'm not a politician, but I'm very flattered by the idea that I was brought into an inner circle of people in legislation. And basically the way I laid it out was I proposed a bill. I called it the Good Shepherd Act. And basically the way I laid it out is teachers are the shepherds of the sheep, which are your children, right? They're not only do they nurture and nature them into society, but they're also tasked with protecting them, because they have to watch over them for a good majority of their lives. And I laid it all out, and I said, look, this is not me trying to force people to carry weapons in school. It's nothing of the sort. All I said is there are occupations all over the country, all over the world, where it was never an issue. You can carry at your job, and being a public educator in most states, that was not an option. And I said, all I'm proposing is those who have already learned or trained or legally went through the hoops to get their CHLs should be allowed to carry at their place of work, which just happens to be in a public school. You know, this isn't, I'm going to open carry at school and be belligerent to my children. This is nothing like that. This is, I conceal carry, or I have it in the desk drawer or whatever, because now I can carry it to my place of business. And, you know, the whole idea is let them do that, because they are truly the first line of defense. We have these schools that have one resource officer in a 600-acre square building that's tasked to protect 4,000 teachers and faculty. That is numerically impossible, you know. And even the lieutenant governor here, Dan Patrick, he personally donated to Santa Fe, the last major school shooting. He personally donated metal detectors and things at the school. And I'm like, look, you're putting Band-Aid over a bullet hole. I know why you did what you did, because it's hard to sell my idea, but my idea is the ultimate solution, because all you're doing is you're putting metal detectors in the doors. You're still not stopping the threat once it passes the metal detector. A really crazed individual is not going to give a shit when the alarm goes off when he passes the metal detector, because he still knows that there's nobody there to stop him. So I said, look, play Russian roulette with the aggressor. He doesn't know what teacher's carrying. He doesn't know what teacher has a CHL. He doesn't know what teacher's participating in this. There's at least one in every hallway in a school. Maybe there's one department head in every section of the school, and that's more than enough. Because the fact that you put the warning signs out there and you've got more than one resource officer carrying a gun, they don't know who's carrying. Are they going to really play those odds with their own life when they want a high body count? No, they're going to just move on to Starbucks, where they know that people can't carry. They're not going to take they're going to take the easiest way out. They're not going to take a path of resistance. And if the warning sign will be the first thing. Not knowing who's carrying is the second thing. And, you know, people who have already gotten their licenses, they were qualified to hit the target. They hit the 10 and 9 ring at 30 yards. So the odds are against them. Maybe they'll get 1 or 2 people, but that's only 1 or 2 people instead of 10 or 20 people. And they still don't know who it is. It's the minefield theory. You only need one mine for every 100 warning signs. And only the truly insane are going to walk past 100 warning signs.
I think we're getting off on a tangent here, but okay.
I'd really like to see more parents get vocal. You hardly hear anything from the parents. All I keep hearing about is the government and the teachers wanting it or not wanting it. I hear nothing from parent groups that say, hey, you know, you protect our kids all day. You keep an eye on our kids. Let's take the ultimate step here and ensure that my kid's going to come home, you know? But
problem
that
is,
isn't, you know.
Either the parents these days aren't involved in their children's lives, or they just don't give a damn.
Yeah.
Or it's the case they don't want to be outed as the only one out of millions of parents that actually wants to see anything done.
I'm a parent, and I have two girls at junior high, and I would love something done. So,
I mean, I've yet to meet a parent that says, no, I don't think we should have a highly trained individual protecting my kids. If they say, no, I don't want that, then I would really question their supervising as a parent. It's like, well, what do you want? You know, there's something going on in the hallway. Do you want me to stop them, or do you want to hope that the resource officer gets them? You know, I don't think any parent.
I'm a parent. I don't even need a highly trained individual. Kevin the Tack Daddy's got a brother named Ross that's on this show. He said it perfectly.
We can't hear you, Squib, over the machinery.
Well, they turned me up, assholes.
Oh.
You gotta move past the machinery.
Ross said, what is the difference between carrying in Walmart and carrying in a school? There isn't. If you pass the concealed carry license requirements for your state, you obey all of the same laws. What is the difference? There isn't. You don't need to be highly trained. You should know what to expect when the police breach the school building. But other than that, you don't need any more training than what the state requires. And if they're constitutional carry or whatever, where there's nothing, there's no permit, there's no test, there's no nothing, if that's good enough for the state for you to carry in Walmart and defend yourself, your family, or a stranger that's in trouble, then what's the difference between a teacher defending a classroom under the same sky? There isn't.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Under our laws, when I go pick up, sorry, I'm talking. I'm just saying, under Michigan laws, when I go pick up my girls at school, I have to take my gun off and leave it in my vehicle.
Okay, so we're in a situation where we are unjustifiably always on the defensive, right? I mean, I think we can all agree to that. When it comes to concealed carry laws or just gun ownership laws in general, we're always the ones on the defensive. For some reason, even though we are the non-aggressors, we are always given, and antis hate this. Anybody with legalese hates this. We're always the ones given the burden of proof and the burden of responsibility, right? So I'm going to lay this out real simple. I've been to 2 district meetings in the school I graduated from 21 years ago. And I've been to 2 state-sponsored school district meetings with the governor, and I've been to 1 national one. And what I've heard every single time is the antis or the people against the idea of teacher carry all say the same thing because they're misinformed. It's not that they're against the idea. They're very misinformed about the concept of how to solve the problem. See, a lot of teachers think that they are going to be forced to buy a weapon and go through training, and nothing could be further from the truth. The way that this needs to be sold to the public is you need to get all the teachers in one school district into one auditorium, right? And you sit them down, and the superintendent of the district goes, I'm going to ask all of you one question, and all I want you to do is stand up if you are one of these people. And you say, okay, and everybody here, if you have a CHL, please stand up and watch the number of people stand up. And if it's more than 50% of the people in the building, you can go, this is why what I'm about to propose is going to work. I'm not forcing anybody not standing to do this. All I'm proposing is the ability for those who have already went through all this, training, qualification, whatever, to be able to protect those who don't want to participate. We're not forcing anybody to do it. If we're forcing anybody into anything, we're just forcing people to accept the idea that these people were already approved by the state to carry a firearm, and now we're just saying now they have the extra responsibility of protecting your children and you teachers who don't want to participate. We're not saying you have to participate. We're just saying be mindful that these people will do this for you because they've already gone through this for the public, and now you are part of the public that we have restricted them from protecting. if there's any extra, if there's any consolation, any compromise, this is a simple thing too, because this costs nothing, okay? The fact that you let already qualified adult people carry at work, that's what this boils down to. That costs $0. The only cost is putting up a couple warning signs saying teachers on premises may be armed. A couple of signs, less than $100, okay? That's the first thing. The second thing is maybe a couple extra bucks. I, in my business, deal with school districts every year in May of every year because they are desperate to spend the remainder of their school budgets, because if they don't spend them, they get budget cuts. They call me for electronic garbage, right? So I know they've got money to spend. And the only extra money they have to spend is you teach teachers trauma care. That's it. Because they already have trauma packs in every school science laboratory room. All of them. They have eye wash stations, they have compresses, they have bandages, they have tourniquets. They have all these things. If you have to spend a little bit of extra money to make sure that those things are in every school room, and you spend a couple of bucks teaching basic trauma care, that's it. Nothing else. No stupid metal detectors, no stupid fucking extra resource officers that won't even be there when they need to be there. You don't need all of that. Metal detectors and the wiring and the redesigning of buildings cost way more than one seminar to teach somebody how to make somebody stop bleeding or how to use that compress that every science teacher already has to learn how to do.
Okay, Sean. Let somebody else talk. Somebody else wants to jump in. I know.
So I agree to a certain degree, and what I mean by that is I think no matter what, whether they're allowed to carry or not carry, that all that trauma should be taught anyway. Stop the bleed does not cost a whole lot to teach a class on. I know because we teach it all the time.
I want to add one more point to this, though. My wife is a registered health official or as an RN. And in Michigan, we have what's called the Good Samaritan law. And with her license to be an RN, if we drive upon a wreck and somebody's bleeding, she is required by law to offer assistance. So, I mean, it's kind of a hypocritical law if you really want to think about it like that.
Well, if you go through any kind of medical training, you fall in that realm no matter what. If you go and go through the Red Cross training, that you fall in that realm. You have to stop. You're required by law to stop no matter what state.
No, you are not. Not in the state of Michigan. You are not required to take Red Cross training. Good Samaritan law protects you from getting sued. I've taken the class enough on it. Not by choice. Did you hear that?
It protects you if you do stop, but it also does require you to offer assistance.
No, not for taking the first aid class. Maybe for an RN or a doctor. I don't know. But as far as if you're a first responder at work and you've got the certified little card that says you took the Red Cross class and blah, 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 and you do not render aid, you can't be sued that way as in the same regard that you can't be sued if you do render aid and they expire on you or they suffer some sort of a permanent injury. If you are not comfortable,
right, but that's not
you do not have to stop.
That's not a state license, though. An EMT or a nurse or somebody like that has to pay the state of Michigan for a license.
I'm saying a professional may have to fall under different guidelines than somebody who is voluntarily, or in my case, twisting my arm again and again and again to take this same class because it's part of your job at work.
All right.
A lot of chat on the YouTube side.
I know. I can't catch up.
It's good. It's good dialogue. It's all good.
All right. So there's something else I want to mention. We're going to shift topics now. Florida hasn't weathered too well lately with everything that's going to be going on. And I got an email from Sean Caminera, the one of the founders of Florida Carry. He's a regular here on Gun Channels, and I wanted to mention this because he sent me an email about this. So I'm gonna, give him a plug on this. Florida Carry is hosting a pro gun rally at the Tallahassee, Florida State Capitol courtyard on July 28th, 2018. It's Saturday. And they're going to have speakers from 2 to 4. Let me see if I can pull up the email to tell you all who's going. Okay. The speakers are going to be Eric Pratt, the executive director of the Gun Owners of America. There's going to be Tara Dixon Engel, director of strategic development, APHF. There's Mark Keith Robinson of I Am the Majority. The Majority, yes. Steve Moret, a director of member affairs for Florida Carry. Greg Kinman, everybody knows who that is, but they don't know who that is. That's Hickok 45. He's going to be at the Florida rally. The founder of Open Carry Texas, C.J. Grissom, is going to be there. Pastor C.J. Grissom.
Oh, yeah, co-founder. Yeah.
Pastor Terry L. Howell of Living Water Fellowship will be there. Paul Polwella, Director of Law Enforcement Training, APFH. I don't know who this person is, but again, they're going to be. They have a ton of speakers, so it's going to be a major event. Is what it's looking like.
Terry McCollum from Texas Carry is not going to be there, though, right?
I don't think so. No.
Okay. So, okay, they got half of it though. That's good.
Yeah. Caitlin Bennett of Internet Sensation Grassroots Director, Liberty Hangout. Mm-hmm. Royce Bartlett, host of Shooting Straight radio show. Mark Villafane, rally sponsor, founder, Guns and Ammo Unlimited. John H. Gutmacher, attorney, author, Florida Firearms Law, Use, and Ownership. Aaron Pallett, founder of Operation Blazing Sword. And Lewis A. Sterling, executive director, Ezekiel 317. Okay. I don't know who some of these people are. I know who some of them are as well, but those are who's going to be there. Apparently, it's going to be an extremely big event. There's also going to be music there, entertainment. It's going to be an event to see. Again, it's going to be in Tallahassee, Florida, at the State Capitol courtyard from 2 to 4 on July 28th, 2018. So if you are in Florida, if you want to go and support your Second Amendment rights, I implore you to go out and support Florida Carry in this rally. So there we go. There's the plug for Sean. I did my job.
Good job. Well done.
All right. So moving on. Do any of you have a topic that you'd like to talk about tonight? Because I know we've been talking a little bit of everything tonight. But again, we're talking about guns. We're talking about gun rights. We're talking about things that are happening in the gun world. I think we're on a roll. I'm hoping you guys got another topic.
I was very quietly showing off the things I've been building since the last time I was on your chat.
Yeah, I saw that. But, yeah. So
I've been busy.
Let's check out there on the YouTube side to see what everybody's talking about. David Bowling was asking, what about the Ninth Circuit rule? Okay.
Do it.
The Ninth Circuit ruling, which one do you want me to go over? The new one? The one that just happened? Why don't we go over that one?
Start from the beginning, the one that got contradicted first, and then what happened just now.
Okay. The one we'll go over is we'll go. The Ninth Circuit upholds the injunction against the California high-capacity magazine ban. We'll go over that one first. In late June, a U.S. District Court judge issued a preliminary injunction blocking a ban on possession of magazines holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition in California. The ban was passed as part of Proposition 63, which also instituted background checks for ammunition purposes. The high-capacity magazine ban would have outlawed untold millions of magazines already legally owned by California gun owners. As Judge Robert Benitez wrote at the time, implementing the law would have resulted in hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of otherwise law-abiding citizens will have an untenable choice: become an outlaw or dispossess oneself of lawfully acquired property. Today, this is from July 17th, but anyways, it says, on that day, a three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit upheld the injunction that, in a 2-1 decision, here's the California Rifle and Pistol Association announcement of the ruling. Okay. Ninth Circuit upholds preliminary injunction against Newsom's standard capacity magazine ban. In another blow to Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom's anti-gun agenda, the three-judge panel, I don't know why I said three-gun, but three-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit issued a ruling in the case of Duncan versus Becerra on Tuesday, upholding a lower court's decision to suspend enforcement of Proposition 63's restriction on the possession of magazines capable of holding more than 10 rounds. Following the enactment of Proposition 63, the CRPA attorneys sought an injunction against the magazine possession ban, arguing that the law violated the Second Amendment, which it does, as well as the due process and takings clauses of the United States Constitution. It's also in there. There is a clause where they can't take away your property without your permission, and as long as you are a legal citizen, you're not breaking law. There is a law in the Constitution saying that they can't take away your property or tell you how to use your property without compensation. Just FYI. Anyways, the federal district court judge Roger T. Benitez agreed, issuing a preliminary injunction just days before the law was set to take effect. California quickly appealed the decision. On appeal, the Ninth Circuit held that Judge Benitez did not abuse his discretion, holding that he applied the correct legal standards and made reasonable inferences based on the record. But one judge on the panel disagreed. Gee, imagine that. It is the Ninth Circuit. Ruling. But this is a 2-1 ruling, so that one judge can go, fuck his finger. But again, but one judge on the panel disagreed. Responding to the dissent, the majority noted that it was not within the panel's authority to reweigh the evidence of the case, nor could it substitute its discretion for that of the district court. What's more, referencing the Ninth Circuit's 2014 decision ruling in Fiac versus Sunnyvale, which affirmed the denial of an injunction against a local magazine ban. The majority held that simply because a judge disagrees with another district court does not necessarily mean the district court abused its discretion on the matter. Meanwhile, in the trial court, a motion for summary judgment is pending, and a ruling on the merits of the case is expected soon. Regardless of the outcome, the case will most certainly be appealed again to the Ninth Circuit. But by that time, the Supreme Court will likely have a new justice who respects the right to keep and bear arms as protected by the Second Amendment. We can only hope. The next is just saying to stay informed. Check out the CRPA and the NRA, ILA, and also check out standandfightcalifornia.com and CRPA.org. So, all right, there's that one. The new one that just came out today was Ninth Circuit 3-judge panel upholds right to open carry firearms, which is huge because
which is funny because most of the states under the protection of the Ninth Circuit don't even allow it.
Arizona does.
Right, but I'm saying the majority of the states under the Ninth Circuit don't allow it.
Yeah, a majority. But the Ninth Circuit is. I'm going to go look up the Ninth Circuit just so I'm not telling lies.
I mean, it's a step in the right direction because I think what it is this is a district, an area of states that are in danger of losing a lot of political power in the next election.
Hold up, Sean. Okay.
All right.
The Ninth Circuit, and I'm going to go over this first before we get into this next article. The Ninth Circuit is Alaska, Arizona, California, all of it, District of Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. It also covers the Northern Mariana Islands as well as Guam.
How many of those states allow open carry?
Okay, right now I can tell you 3 states out of that list. To 4 states, I'll give them 4. 4 states out of that list which are very pro-gun, regardless. One of them is your favorite, Alaska.
Yes.
Montana is another one, of which Montana actually has a state law that pretty much ignores the NFA. Mostly, but regardless, they have a law like that. I don't know whether it's enforced or not, but it's Montana. All right, and then you got Arizona. Okay, you got Alaska, you got Montana, you got Arizona, you got Idaho. Idaho is very pro-gun as well. Because remember, Matt was going to move to Idaho. Uh-oh. Anyways, so, yes, I won't argue that, you've got Washington, you got California, you got Hawaii, and Oregon on that list, of which, that's the whole East West Coast, and they're pretty much, anti-gun as much as possible. I'm going to say on Nevada's like half and half. They're slipping. In personal opinion, of course. But you got Nevada there in the mix too. So that's the Ninth Circuit.
They're talking about, like you mentioned Alaska, they're mentioning the freedom of certain states up in the Great White North. And I can't help but to wonder, if I ran against that crazy woman who'd never even stepped foot in Alaska, I think I have a better chance of winning the congressional seat than she does. Because at least I've been there, and I've killed a bear there.
Well, Sean, I'm going to make a really bad joke, and you can yell at me for it later.
You can do it at my expense. That's cool.
But, Sean, all I'm going to say is they would probably vote for you because you look like a native.
I can live with that.
He can live with that because it's true.
I can live with that. Thank you, Burrito. Thank you.
Let's go over this topic, all right? All right, so the right to carry a firearm for law-abiding citizens barely exists in Hawaii. A so-called May-issue state, the Pacific Paradise, hasn't issued a permit to carry this century. As far as the 50th state is concerned, Americans only have the right to keep and bear arms in their own home. That violation of his Second Amendment rights, see District of Columbia versus Heller, was the basis for George Young's suit against the state. Yesterday, a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in a 2-1 decision, agreed with Mr. Young. Again, we got another 2-1 decision there.
Right. Basically, what it says is that the Ninth Circuit has not completely lost its mind. There are still sensible voices there. Unfortunately, when it gets appealed up to the 9-justice ruling, that's when they're always outnumbered.
Again, but it is nice to see the opposite of what we normally see from the Ninth Circuit.
It is. It's very refreshing to finally see that. What I'm worried about is, my concern is the motivations of those who are ruling in our favor, because I think these are people that are in areas and districts that are under threat of losing their seats. See, they keep talking about this blue wave, but the blue wave is nothing more than just a media creation, because I think most of your voting public has had enough, and they realize how ridiculous the left is. So this blue wave is going to be a complete farce. So these guys are starting to say the right thing or rule in the direction of, hey, I voted for this, you should re-elect me. I'm looking out for you. I know we have a bad track record, but I still need to keep my job. That kind of thing. There's a lot of dishonesty during election years, which this is. So even though it is in our favor, be very speculative. Hold these guys to the fire and see how long they're going to keep this stance.
If they don't keep this stance for the same amount of time,
right? Then it just goes to show that they're nothing more than re-elective shills.
Yeah. All right. So,
can you hear me now?
Yes, but
okay. Yeah, but
I'm always the loudest one. I'm always the loudest. Anytime I listen on the playback, you guys are always so quiet. I don't just mean on this show. I mean every show, because I weasel on all of them, right? And I'm always the loudest one. I talk loud normally, and then I get triggered, and I get even more agitated, and I get louder. One time I'm trying not to be loud, and I gotta yell, and everybody in the factory turns around and looks to see who I'm yelling at.
Okay, it sounds like you're in a damn boiler.
I didn't like the part of the statement about hundreds of thousands or millions of citizens are made into criminals overnight. If there were hundreds of thousands or millions of people in California that own semi-automatic rifles with detachable box magazines that could accept more than 5 rounds or whatever, then you would have had a lot more people get voted out of office. You would have had a lot more signatures on petitions. I don't think there's as many people in California with these air quotes evil guns that as some people think. I think there's plenty of buds there, and I think there's plenty of people who have a firearm illegally. They've got a pistol for protection or a pistol because they're a criminal or whatever it is. But I just don't think there's as many people with the guns that all these people are trying to ban constantly.
Hey, Nice Trick, have you been looking at the YouTube chat? Because there's actually a pretty good topic they're talking about.
Which one? The one Ben mentioned?
The Trader
Joe's
thing.
If we have time, we'll go over it. But I want to finish this one first. So let me finish this one because this is part of our topic.
I want him to know that I saw it because he keeps typing it.
Yes, I know. Ben, Crackle B Jr. is like that. It's okay. All right. So as you were saying, the federal appeals court ruled on Tuesday that the U.S. Constitution's Second Amendment policy, a right to openly carry a gun in public for self-defense, rejecting a claim by Hawaii officials that the right only applies to guns kept at home. Well, I'm sorry, but Hawaii is wrong because it says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. That's not the right of the people to keep and bear arms at home shall not be infringed.
Exactly. There's not a stipulation there.
There's not.
It's meant for the people, the people's rights, not the people's rights in certain locales, because the people are mobile. They can travel. And you can't expect them to only be able to exercise that right in one spot. That's why we have this wonderful thing called castle doctrine, which unfortunately in some ass-backward states is misinterpreted. See, if everyone followed the Texas example, castle doctrine is your home, your vehicle, your conveyance, and your place of business, and anywhere in between. There's something important there. Because if you have to defend your life in self-defense in between your house and your place of business while you're in your conveyance, you are protected here in my state.
I think South Carolina's was very similar.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't think Texas came up with that alone. I think that they just have the best example of it, which a lot of other states follow.
Because remember, I can, in South Carolina, you can, if you own your own business, you can open carry in your place of business as long as you own the property and the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's yours.
It's yours. So that castle doctrine apply there too. Again, in South Carolina, you can, carry your handgun in your glove box loaded if, without a permit. That is in the law. That's part of castle doctrine. Like, it doesn't matter where you go. As long as you have it in that glove box, you're good, no matter where you go.
We have permitless carry protections in Texas in the same places that are allowed or protected under castle doctrine. So, if my mother, for instance, was going out to check the mail and she was attacked on the way back to the house and she managed to grab one of my guns and shoot somebody, she's protected under castle doctrine even though she's not a concealed carry license holder because she's still on the grounds of my house. So, yeah, there's a lot of leeway there.
Yeah, in South Carolina, the castle doctrine with your vehicle, it's your property, not the property it's on. Okay, so unless it's the property that you own, it's a little weird. But anyways, we're getting off topic here. So at home, 2 of the 3 Ninth Circuit judges voted to reverse a decision by the U.S. District Court in Hawaii that state officials did not infringe on the rights of George Young, the plaintiff, in twice denying him a permit to carry a gun outside. We do not take lightly the problem of gun violence, Judge Diarmuid O'Scanlan wrote in Tuesday's ruling. That is a ridiculous name.
Hey, it was the name he was born with. It's not he chose it.
I know, but look, right side. That I've never seen that. That's all right.
It is what it is.
Okay, we do not take lightly the problem of gun violence, the judge wrote in Tuesday's ruling. But for better or for worse, the Second Amendment does protect a right to carry a firearm in public for self-defense.
Yeah.
You can read. There's links to the full ruling if anybody wants to see it. I'll link it in the video after the chat. But it says the majority opinion wasn't friendly to concealed carry, but here's the main takeaway. Well, obviously they're not going to be that friendly. The panel acknowledged that while the concealed carry of firearms categorically falls outside Second Amendment protection, which I don't think it does, because the Second Amendment says the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It does not tell you how which you're supposed to carry your arms. It just says you're allowed to bear arms.
Right.
Period.
The Second Amendment is very simple. It's not about the laws of where, why, and when. It's
or how.
Simply, it is your right to protect your own life. That's all it is. It's very, very simple. And those who are against it simply try to split the hair and bifurcate it in such a fashion to tailor it to whatever suppressive needs they think they need to have. But all it really boils down to is you have the right to defend your life if someone is trying to take it by any means necessary. Maybe that's what they're having such a hard time with. I mean, rewording it. Liberals are all about reinterpretation. So let's just reinterpret it in the most basic way possible. You have the right to defend your life against some asshole who wants to take it from you by any means necessary. Period. Done.
Yeah, but the problem is we have in a court of law we have to prove that guy was an asshole.
But that's what your day in court is. That's what due process is all about. And if should you ever be forced into that situation to defend your life and your liberty, you can have that day in court. Maybe you took someone's life to have that day in court, and if they find out that you did it unjustly, then you will be punished for it. However,
if he wasn't an asshole, your ass is grass.
Right. But however, if you're a law-abiding citizen and you did that, you have nothing to fear because due process is meant to protect you. by its literal definition.
All
I
right.
know that there's crooked law, but
All right, let me get through the rest of this. There's only a little bit more left. All right. Well, there's 3 paragraphs left. All right? So it says the panel acknowledged while concealed carry of firearms categorically falls outside Second Amendment protection, which is wrong. It does. It should apply. C. Peruta versus County of San Diego. Well, there's your fucking problem there. 824 F3D 919-939 2016 and Blanc. It was satisfied that the Second Amendment encompasses a right to carry a firearm openly in public for self-defense. Analyzing the text of the Second Amendment, reviewing the relevant history, including the founding era treaties and 19th century case law, the panel stated that it was unpersuaded by the county's and the state's argument that the Second Amendment only has force within the home. The panel stated that once identified as an individual right focused on self-defense, the right to bear arms must guarantee some right to self-defense in public. The panel held that because Hawaii law restricted plaintiff in exercising the right to carry a firearm openly, it burdened conduct protected by the Second Amendment. In determining appropriate level of scrutiny to apply to Section 134-9, the panel first held that the right to carry a firearm openly for self-defense falls within the core of the Second Amendment. The panel stated that restricting open carry to those whose job entails protecting life or property necessarily restricts open carry to a small and insulated subset of law-abiding citizens. The panel reasoned that the typical law-abiding citizen in the state of Hawaii was entirely foreclosed from exercising the core Second Amendment right to bear arms for self-defense. The panel concluded that Hawaii's limitation on the open carry of firearms to those engaged in the protection of life and property violated the core of the Second Amendment and was void under any level of scrutiny. The state of Hawaii, much the same as California, now has a decision to make. They can appeal for an en blanc review of the decision, a la Peruta, and risk a possible further appeal to a Supreme Court that's expected to include a Justice Kavanaugh, or in order to avoid another potentially precedent setting Supreme Court ruling, Hawaii could decide to bite the bullet and, like D.C., be dragged kicking and screaming into issuing citizens open carry permits instead. And that's the end of the article. So, thoughts? Come on, guys.
It's definitely a positive change, man. I mean, maybe things are going to start swinging around our way.
One could only hope.
I mean, either way, they're going to get something. It's better than nothing at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely positive. I mean, I would say this, and you said it many times, Night Strike. Contact your local representatives. Stay on them. Don't ever back down. Keep on them. Keep pumping out the word. Make sure they know, hey, you got to do this. You got to do this, because those are the ones that are going to make the difference.
Yeah. Remember, I don't have a lot of time myself, but of the time I do have, I mean, I at least try, if it's a topic, in my state, or something on the federal level, shooting an email, making a phone call, hell, writing an actual letter, postmarking it, and sending it to your representative. Any of this stuff will help.
And
granted, the email might be ignored, but as long as you phone call and send an actual written letter, they'll hear you a little louder than they would normally if you just sent an email.
These midterm elections may be the most important we've ever had in our lifetime.
Right. Remember, not doing anything and complaining about it. Okay, not writing your representatives, not calling them, not emailing them, not doing anything yet complaining about your state laws isn't going to help at all. So
No,
get out there, do something. You don't have to do a lot. Just do something. Email them, call them, leave a message. Do something to get your voice heard.
Email, Nice Drag mentioned email that you might not get that response you want. Still send it. It doesn't matter. Still send it. I will tell you, I've sent multiple emails in the state I'm in. I got one that was a generic email, and then I got one back from the governor of the state that was actually a full-on blown email from the governor. It wasn't no generic email by any means.
I get a lot of those these days.
Yeah.
It's all about how you word it. If you take the time and word it in the right manner and are polite and respectful, they will actually read it and they will respond.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I got a response from the Secretary of the Governor of Texas, and she actually said, I read your message. I hand wrote a letter and sent it certified mail. And she says, I personally hand read your message, and I brought it to the governor's attention. And then she added because I put my email address and my credentials and my phone number and things in the response. I'm part of a mailing group now, and she's part of it. The governor's part of it. The lieutenant governor's part of it. The Texas comptroller's part of it. Like, I see that list, and I've asked other people who are, card-carrying, voting members of society. I'm like, have you ever heard of this mailing list? And none of them have heard of it. And I'm like, I'm part of it. And I shared like screenshots of what I've got, and they're like, dude, you're in the inner circle. I'm like, I just sent an idea, and I think they liked it. As long as, like you said, as long as you're poignant, cordial, factual, and very direct, and you let them know how you feel, you have to remember, in every state, not just mine, election years are powerful tools, and an active voter is a dangerous person because they're aware.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I mean, you want a good example of how this is failing? Go look at New York and look at that crazy socialist chick. That's what happens when you're not aware, when you're not vocal, when you're not participatory. Because they actually think socialism is going to work. I wrote a doctoral thesis on social communism. But at the end of my entire thesis, I wrote, even I am fully aware that this will never work because absolute power corrupts absolutely. It's an unfortunate circumstance of giving that kind of power to people, but it's unavoidable.
Yeah.
And that's why I passed that class. Because I reneged on everything I said, and I said, even though this all sounds good on paper, it'll never work.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, does anybody else want to their comment on the whole Ninth Circuit?
I'm just hoping this isn't all smoke and mirrors.
Travis.
Yeah, no, dude. Like I said, I'm hoping that that things go through and we get people the right back to open carry, or at least carry without a permit or whatever we can get. We'll take it. Good start, man.
Well, here's the thing. We've had a lot of turnaround in, and I'm going to use the word turnaround in gun rights lately. Have you noticed that? I mean, there's these two, and I know it's not wide scale, but it's been happening more often.
A lot of little things popping up, Yeah,
we've got these two circuit Ninth Circuit decisions. We've got the 3D printing issue. We've got the Illinois blocking of that one. What was it? Of the assault weapon, that one assault weapons ban.
How much of this is relevant, though? And I know that sounds confrontational when I said that, but let me ask you this: what the hell happened to the HPA? Anything that is actually blanket beneficial for us disappeared.
Here's what happened to it. Exactly what was going to happen to it all along. Nothing.
Right. See, that's the thing. We have just, like in Night Strike Dialogue here, we have just said that there have been advancements. And it does look like advancements. But in the grand scheme of things, what did we actually get? We haven't gained anything. All we did was stop losing things with these opinions. What I want to know is, what happened to things like the HPA? Whatever happened to the idea that the NFA is ridiculous? You know, when do we start getting to take back things that have been taken from us? You know, G-Web did a great video about.
Could it be that we quieted down and we're at fault?
No, because you and I and everybody on this panel have done nothing to warrant what is essentially punishments and restrictions. What have you done? What have I done? What has any one of us done that justifies having to pay extra fees, having to go through extra redundant checks? We haven't done anything like that. And you have to remember, I'm 39 years old. I have been into firearms. Well, but I've only been into firearms for 12 years.
Okay.
Okay. So technically, I'm a new guy in all this, right?
Right.
I wasn't a pro. I wasn't an anti. I was an indifferent until I wasn't anymore. And since then, in 12 years, I've educated myself. I don't want to say I've trained myself because that sounds like I'm militant or whatever. I've just become proficient at the things that I enjoy and the liberties that I've gained from it. I mean, you saw me pull all this stuff out. I built every single thing I showed off tonight because I'm a guy who works with my hands, right? It's like I take joy in this. Why does it have to be difficult for me to do these things when I haven't done anything to make people worry about me doing these things? You know, I was completely off the radar 12 years ago. That means I was 27 years old. Look at the ages of mass murderers in the last 10 years. They did these things way before 27, right? So it's not about restricting things. It's about unjustly restricting things. The majority of us don't do these things that these people are doing that warrants restrictions. So why do we have them?
Yeah. Well, and to the same token, you know, I've watched rights, which actually the one thing you're talking about, I was 6 years old when that was passed. So I've had to put up with that. But I've also watched rights come and go in my lifetime. You know, for a while, I was able to have all the black magazines and everything like that I wanted. Then I watched those become voted out and illegal. Now we're able to buy all the AR parts we want again. And so, you know, where is the real law in all of this?
That's the thing. It isn't. It's all just control.
Right.
What about this though? Because if we think about as far as the loss of rights, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like we're at a war. You know, we're not fighting an actual war here. But what if it's more of a tug of war? You know, we're right now we're getting drugged the direction we don't want to go, and before we can actually get progress or you know, gain momentum our direction, we first have to stop momentum the other direction, right? Which I think is maybe what's happening. Is it possible that we're not picking up steam yet, but we've dug in now, and things are starting to happen because people are becoming more active, and we may see, you know, in the future, we may see a reversal of the momentum. But for now, I think the first step to getting things going the direction we want is to stop going the other direction, right? Like in a tug of war, when you dig your feet in and you really bear down, and all of a sudden that flag stops moving, and it's a dead heat for a second before you start, you know, dragging it the other way again. So is it possible that we're just at that turning point of we've stopped the momentum going the wrong way? Now it's time to dig in even harder and keep going and become more active?
It might be.
It might be, but I think that's a bad attitude.
Murder happens with a firearm, and it's all over the news, and we're right back to where we were.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I cannot argue that, Squibb. I cannot argue with that at all.
No, I mean the biggest.
I would never be happy with where we're at because we have miles to go.
No, and that's the biggest thing is stay active, stay strong, constantly constantly reach out to those people in your area and stay on them. Don't ever let go. Stay on top of them all the time, every week. Follow up.
You guys have all heard me say this before, but I mean, we all know that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And right after the recent mass murders, the mass shootings that have happened here in the last 12 months, there's been a lot of squeaky wheels saying, you know, we need to do something. We need to stop the guns. We want the common sense. You know, all the BS that we've heard that we all know isn't going to do any good. So I keep saying what we need to do is fight fire with fire. Now, we don't want to be stupid about it, of course, but we need to start saying, you know, this isn't constitutional. This is against the law. And I think that's where we're going to fight that battle. We're not going to use emotion because they're better at that. We try to use logic and they don't care. They call us names or whatever and work on emotions. But if we start saying, you know, hey, this isn't constitutional, apparently these courts are starting to take notice and rule in favor of the Constitution, which doesn't mean in favor of you or me or anybody. If it's a ruling in favor of the Constitution, then I'm for it because that is the law of the land, whether I like that law or not.
Same here. I'm all for and ruling in favor of the Constitution because I'm of the opinion that not enough decisions in the courts these days are ruling in favor of the Constitution where applicable.
I'll throw one more theory out there, though. A lot of these shootings we've seen, how much money was there behind them by other liberal people? You know, now I think maybe they're stopping to throw the money out to people to do something like that. Now you got liberals just on the street begging for violence. You know, is it possible they paid for some of these shootings?
That's a conspiracy theory, and we're not here to discuss conspiracy theories. But
that's a pretty serious allegation to make.
We can just say that it doesn't look like a coincidence. You might have something.
Let me give you some food for thought.
And now we have liberals on the street begging for violence.
The last time, or the first time in the modern era that we were on the fence politically, where it was easily swayed, was the election of Bill Clinton. If you really think about it, we just came off Desert Storm and Desert Shield. The world was ready. The nation was ready for something different. It was too rigid. We needed a free-thinking man who said all the right things. That was the first mistake we made because we voted based off of emotion and feels. He made the nation feel good when he jumped on Arsenio Hall and he started playing the saxophone, and everyone thought, oh my God, this guy's one of us, right? That was the first time we made that mistake. The second time we made that mistake is when the nation voted for Barack Obama, because what he did was he lied to the people. He made them feel good. He made them say, it's time for America to vote for a black president. You know what? Maybe he was right, but he wasn't the right one for it. He was a great orator, but he was a horrific policymaker. He set this country back 50 years when it came to civil rights. So, if anything, if we hold our people to account, we have to remind people, don't base your vote on feel. Base your vote on fact. Like you were saying earlier, we present the facts, they retaliate with feels. When the feels don't get them what they want, they get to petty, belligerent arguments and personal attacks. So, because this is an election year, because that the voters are not stupid people these days, because they actually take the time, and on our side at least, they take the time to do their research and learn the facts, you have to remind people that you cannot vote based on how you feel. You have to vote based on what you know, or what you think you know, or what they are telling you that they know, and if it falls in line with what you believe in. Because if you base on feels, you're going to end up with another Clinton. You're going to end up with another Obama, which means you're going to end up with another decade of regressive policy.
All right. Well, That's why I'm saying, and I keep on saying this, but any Democrat that says they're a progressive is lying, because their policies aren't progressive, they're regressive.
Right, and you've heard me say that on Matt's chats plenty of times. I'm like, do you remember there was once upon a time when the...
Well, we're not going to get into that, Sean. we're getting ready to wrap up, okay?
Yeah.
But we know, Sean. I've heard it, you've heard it, everybody's heard it. But I think I'm going to call it here. Gentlemen. We had a great conversation tonight. I'd love to go on, but I'm getting tired. I have to get up early tomorrow, so let's I'm going to go through the panel. They can plug all their stuff again, and then we're going to call it. All right, Dusty, got anything you want to plug?
Not really, but I want to thank you for having me, and I hope I behaved myself.
You did. Though I did say earlier that I was just joking. All right. And Sandhill Shooter, you got anything you want to plug?
You can see all the cool videos and all the dumb videos that I make on Sandhill Shooter channel on YouTube. You can catch it on gun channels. You can catch me on GunTube.org, Gunstreamer, Patreon, all the fun places. Instagram, Facebook, you know all the places to find me. And I'm sorry that I did behave. I'll do better next time, I promise.
Wow. All right. Sean, you want to plug anything?
I'm guilty of talking too much on people's channels, but I do have my own channel. It's just Sean Poner on YouTube. I promise I'll start doing some more updates. And because of YouTube's interesting new policies of not showing assembly videos, basically I'm going to put everything of how I did what I did on GunTube, and YouTube is just going to be my commercial horror channel.
There you go.
There you go.
Way to do it, man.
All right, Squib, you got anything you want to plug?
It's going to be machinery noises.
All right, Squib, we'll get back to you. All right, Scotsman, you said you were getting ready to bail out, so we're getting ready to bail out with you. You got anything you want to plug, Scotsman?
Thank you for the invite. As always, much appreciated, brother. Guys, I'm about to throw up my 205th video. It's unbelievable. I can't thank you guys all enough. It's insane. The support, the community we have is phenomenal. So thank you guys. I'm going to throw that out here either tonight before I go to bed or sometime tomorrow. I'm not sure when, but I really appreciate you all. And if you guys have not checked out hashtag Justin's Final Mission, please do so. We are trying to stop veterans from committing suicide. There's 22 a day, and we want to see that be zero. That's all I got. Thanks again, man. Really appreciate it.
No problem. All right, Travis, you're up.
Man, first of all, we got to give an early happy birthday to Sandhill Shooter, since we won't have any podcasts until Saturday morning. So Sandhills turns 21. Is that right, Sandhills?
21
on the 26th. Is that right? I think we're gonna go take them out for Night on the Town and go have a lot of fun. And
it's close to 21. It may or may not be the 10th anniversary of my 29th birthday Thursday.
There you go. Because Sean's like, wait a minute, I thought I was the youngest one here.
No,
I'm younger than Sean.
My last 30 for a long time now.
There you go. But no, guys, I appreciate the invites. There's a lot of good information. This is a good sign of hope with what's going on over in the Ninth Circuit. Let's hope that things go through, and maybe we'll have a decision. We'll have a final decision, or those final decisions will be made, and we'll know for sure what's going on. Then we don't have to shame people that live in California anymore. But anyway, yeah, we'll keep doing that anyway.
We'll still give them shit anyways.
All right, man. Well, I hope to see everybody Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time, Caliber Corner. If you don't have it, if you're subscribed to me, a lot of people say, hey, you still making videos, or I never get a notice. You got to make sure you got the bell clicked on my channel. That's just like for any of us here. If you want to know when we go live, you'll get the notification immediately if you got the bell clicked on my channel. So if I'm still putting out 2 or 3 videos a week, not counting Caliber Corner, so there's a lot of good material coming your way. Otherwise, I think that's it, man. Appreciate the invite, dude.
All right. Squib, are you back? Are you there? Are you allowed to say goodbye?
Oh, now I am, now that I'm safely in my pickup truck, between the
There you
factory
go.
being a little bit louder than normal today and people following me everywhere. What are you doing? What does it look like I'm doing? I'm live on YouTube.
Think I'm working.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah, there's going to be one day where that'll be the day I go, so guys, I'm looking for another job.
Right.
Yeah.
Do that podcast live. Put that go live when you announce that, and then you'll get that 25 million viral views like that one video where the guy quits. You know.
I remember one.
Hey, yeah.
I remember
There
one
you
of
go.
those podcasts.
Put that. What's that?
Maybe that was a private text. I was gonna say I remember a day like that.
Yeah.
Has anybody seen the movie Need for Speed?
I know I saw these commercials for it, but I never did get to see the movie. No.
I can't honestly say it's the best movie in the world. It's got some pretty good actors in it, but there's a scene where he's driving this car across the country and he needs his buddy or a couple of buddies to jump in with him and go with him in case he needs a mechanic and whatnot. And one of his buddies has kind of stopped doing cars and whatnot and works in this office building. Well, he calls him and says, "Hey, I'm downstairs," and he looks out the window and the guy's just tearing around the block. And so his buddy gets up and starts walking to the door down to the elevator, and he takes off his suit coat and drops it, and then drops his tie on the floor, and he's shedding clothes. By the time he gets off the elevator in the lobby and walks out, he's stark naked. And he gets in the car, and the guy's like, "What are you doing?" And he says, "Well, this way I'm not tempted to go back."
Oh God.
That's an old movie now.
Kind of is.
All right.
Anyway,
Well,
I just
anyhow, Night Strike.
if you're gonna quit, make it epic, and then walk out naked, and he guarantee you'll never be tempted to go back because you'll be on the do not rehire list.
No, I don't know that I'll quit. I'll let them fire me. But I appreciate the invite, Night Strike, even though I really didn't have anything useful to add tonight.
That's okay, Squib. I'll still keep inviting you because, that's just the kind of guy I am. So, all right. Guys, check me out on Patreon. Check me out on YouTube. I might actually throw some videos on GunStreamer. I'm still a little iffy on GunStreamer. Check out GunTube.org if you haven't. We've got a lot of good content up there already. I'm hoping we get more. I'm hoping more people use it. But again, check out GunTube.org. What else? Check out my website, nightstrike.com. And at that, remember, hit or miss, Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock. So with that, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for showing up and being part of the conversation on the YouTube side and on the Gun Channel side. And we'll see you next week. So thank you all for listening. This was Hit or Miss.
Adios, Felicia.
Shut up, infringed!
Oh, no, fair. That's my line.